factory. And he stayed over here in the Shelbourne Hotel. And this is what he had to say about the Shelbourne. The hotel is a respectable old edifice, much frequented by families from the country, where the solitary traveller may likewise find society, for he may use the Shelbourne as a hotel or as a boarding house, in which latter case he is comfortably accommodated at a very moderate charge of 6 and 8 pence. Just imagine a day in the Shelbourne for 6 and 8 pence. Now one day he was coming out the door of the Shelbourne and one of the Dublin women were passing by calling out Dublin Bay Herdens. And as she passed out, he said, "Oh, Dublin Bay Herdens, I seized the earliest opportunity and I ordered a boiled one for me breakfast." Newman House, where James Joyce wrote his first story, Stephen Hero. And up the steps too, Padraig Pearse came for these lessons. It was one time the home of Richard Chapel Whaley, the father of Buck Whaley, your man that walked to Jerusalem and back and won a bet of £15,000. Well, Whaley's son, John, now, he was a real man about town in the 18th century. He drank down in Daly's clubhouse in College Green and attended many the midnight party in the Hellfire Club. They say that he took oyster suppers in Queen Casey's cellars in Britain Street. Now, he's said to have jumped from the top window, actually from the back of the line there, onto the carriages passing by. Now, can you imagine a poor old Jarvey coming along here with a few jars on him and half asleep, and he doddering along, letting the horse find its own way back to the stable, when next, out of the window, comes the Buck Whaley landing in the back of his cab. Sure, Buck Whaley will be always remembered for his oyster suppers and his cockle parties and his jumping out of the window in Stephen's Green. Isn't it a disgrace the way they're pulling down good sound houses in Stephen's Green so that they can put up new office blocks for speculators? Ah, Janie, the old house is vacant. Do you know, if I had a few shillings, I'd nearly buy or rent this old house. This is one of the finest houses in Stephen's Green. In fact, it's one of the finest houses in Dublin. This house was built in 1765 for a man by the name of Gustavus Hume, the fella that gave his name to Hume Street. Hume sold this house to the Protestant Archbishop of Dublin. And the first man through that door was his lordship, Lord George Beresford, the man that gave many gifts to Trinity College. He was succeeded by Dr. William McGee. Now, Dr. William was a little man like myself, but he rode around the green on one of the biggest horses in Dublin. Be nice to have a big horse to ride around the green, wouldn't it? Now, he was succeeded by another man with the name of Richard Whately. Now, Richard was a bit odd, but he was a very kind bishop to the poor of Dublin. After dinner every day, he'd come out the hall door. He'd look up the green, across the green, and down the green. He'd give his bishop's robes a bit of a shake. And then he'd come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. He'd pull up his bishop's cloak, or his robes, and he'd sit down on the steps, take out his pipe and light up. And then, to the horror of all the gentry who are going by in their fashionable carriages and horses, he'd say, "Hello, Stafford, how are you? How is Molly, Stafford? Hello, Gainsford, how is the old gout? I hope it's better. Hello, Carmichael, I'll be up for tea tomorrow night." And the gentry were really running around the green with their collars up or going around the other way to avoid him.
Now, when he got fed up sitting here, and possibly when the old pipe went out, he went across the Stephen's Green and he played tip and tig and hide and seek with his 3 mongrel dogs. Well, you look at all these, I don't know how that got in there, or this bit, but they say these is his lordship's weeds. I wonder what class of a weed that is. I must ask that fella Bellamy the next time he comes to Dublin about these Dublin weeds. Because do you know what? We have millions of them. My mother used to grow them in her garden.
No weeds there. This is where they keep all the nice hothouse plants. And of course they're attended and watered daily. The 2 men here are Christy and Paddy Waters, who've spent a lifetime tending the flowers in Stephen's Green. They're part of the backroom boys, as you call them, the gardeners and all the people with the nice green fingers who are working in the early hours of the morning after the park closes up to keep the park looking its best for you, giving it its haircut and shave and shampoo and manicure, and seeing that it's in the best of fashion and that the colours of every flower are brought out to their fullest. Whenever I see nice flowers like this, I'm always reminded of the story of a lady who was planting flower seeds in our back garden, and our little boy, about 3-year-old, was by her side. And he picked up the packet of seeds and he was looking at the seeds, and in the middle of looking at the seeds, he says, "Mummy, Mummy, where did I come from, Mummy?" So the poor woman, she didn't know what answer she was going to give him, so she looked at him and she saw him with the packet of seeds in her hand, and she, "That's where you came from. You came from a packet of seeds like that." So the little fella looked at the packet of flower seeds and then he says, "Mummy, Mummy, was there a picture of me in the packet, Mummy?"
Garden na Dowell, Garden of the Blind.